Lidia, it is so great to see you again. Congratulations on your championship at the Culinary Crossroads in Indianapolis. What's transpired since not only you left Indianapolis and drove all the way back to California with your husband and that big check, but also since the airing of the show?
So I've been, very busy. Life goes on, just taking care of grandkid and family. And on top of that, I'm continuing, creating new recipes. I participated in the virtual World Food Championship contests.
For people that haven't been in a competition like this, explain to them what's kind of going through your head when you get there and you're competing and it's elimination.
This is my second final table. So last year I was also on the final table and I ended up in the bubble, so I didn't make it to the second round. So I thought, okay, my first thing is I need to make it to the second round. And thanks to the sticky ribs, I made it to the second round.
The other thing, the way that you explained your dish to the judges, I think that's a really important element that most people don't really have in a lot of competitions. It's
Right.
like, this is what I did, and this is why I did it. And oh, by the way, pick them up and eat them like chicken wings.
I think all of us, chefs and home cooks, the reason we do all this is because we want to feed people and we want people to just take pleasure out of eating our food. So that was my thing, and I truly wanted the judges to enjoy it.
I'm truly excited to be able to cook with you today. My entree is going to be a bacon weave, so a lattice of bacon with a layer of homemade sausage, and all of that is going to enrobe a pork tenderloin and be roasted. The sauces that I'm going to be serving this with today is a Western style North Carolina dipping sauce that I call pig dip. And then I'm going to be roasting my vegetables and tossing them in pig butter, which is clarified bacon fat, garlic, and parsley.
Wow, that sounds absolutely amazing. I wish I could be there. So today I'm going to be making an appetizer and a dessert. So my appetizer is inspired by my final table dish, and it's called Sweet and Spicy Baby Back Taco Bites. And my dessert will be also a small bite, and it's called a maple bacon fudge truffle. I am very excited to cook with you today, Chef, and let's get started. So Chef, the bacon weave, I have never, done that before. How do you start?
Basically, what you start with is you lay together what is the length of your pork tenderloin. That's what you're trying for. So you start out with 9 strips this way, lay 1 piece of bacon, and then you roll back the bacon itself, another strip, put these down, go to the alternating ones.
So it's like a basket weave, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's like you're back in Girl Scouts or
Yeah, I like
Boy
that.
Scouts. And then we'll just keep alternating. There we've got our lattice done. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move over and make some homemade sausage. So I have fresh ground pork. I'm adding some sage, some salt, pepper, little additional heat from cayenne, and to balance out the spice, a little bit of sugar, also to balance out the salt. And then I just have a stand mixer here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna beat it pretty aggressively, and what that does is, from a scientific or chemical standpoint, it's extracting the proteins, meaning that it's knitting them together so it will adhere better to your bacon and your tenderloin.
Oh, wow. So the sausage mixture goes right over the weave.
Right. And then just grab some film so you can see if you're getting a nice even layer.
Oh,
and then
nice.
just roll it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Unless you're competing for $100,000, then it has to be perfect. So there we go. And see, what I'm doing is just lifting the film and rolling it back over itself because I only kind of want that one single layer. Transfer it over to some cling wrap. And what this will do is once you pull this tight and you grab the ends and roll it towards yourself, it will compress everything into a nice little log.
That's nice.
And then we simply transfer it over to a rack. And the reason for that is I want this to evenly brown all the way around. And then I'm just taking your favorite barbecue rub and giving it a good shot of barbecue rub. From here, it will go into a 400-degree oven. And I'm looking for an endpoint cooking temperature when I pull that of 145 degrees. It's probably gonna rest for 10 minutes, maybe even 15. So now this goes in the oven.
Beautiful. So if I were to make that, I could just, you know, prep it, prepare it, keep it in the refrigerator overnight, right? That's
yeah, you
okay.
can have it 100% done. The other thing is if you have extra bacon like I do, cut those bacon in half and go 3 by 3, and it will make little lattices about this big. And they work great for bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches. They're great for putting on burgers. And you can have those already done, baked off, and freeze them, and then just bring them out, give them a little zap, and they're ready to go. I wanted to create a pork trifecta. And by that, I wanted to layer in multiple different layers, but I want each one of those layers to serve a purpose.
Because you've got pork over pork over pork, and then dipped in pork, and all kinds of pork happening here. I love it.
Right.
How could it be bad, right? It's got to be amazing.
Hey, I'm representing 60,000 pig farmers, so I can't be slacking off. For our accompaniment to the pork tenderloin roast that we have in, I decided just to use the same temperature oven. This is something that you could prep in advance as well, and then just simply fire them at the same exact time. So these will take about an hour. The roast is going to take about an hour. So what I started with was, I was looking for fingerlings and they didn't have them. So they had these small marble potatoes. So I have those mixed with some garlic cloves, mixed with some pearl onions. We have carrots, some of these variegated carrots as well as regular. And then because it's fall, I thought I would do just some parsnips as well as some sweet potato.
I love how you could prep all these things, you know, the previous night, and you just, you know, put it right into the oven. It's perfect.
So all I'm going to do to these vegetables is simply dress them initially with a little bit of olive oil. So there we go.
Love it.
Into the oven.
Beautiful.
And with that, to finish it, if we didn't have enough pork already, we're having more pork, is pig butter. Every time I cook bacon, I take that bacon fat, put it in a strainer with a coffee filter and strain it.
Okay.
And you end up with clarified bacon fat. What most people don't understand is it's the fat in bacon that really, really drives that unctuous flavor that you're looking for. For today's purposes, just a little bit more garlic and some flat leaf parsley. As simple as that. And then when the hot vegetables and potatoes come out, I'll just toss this in with them. I forgot when we were doing the veggies, here's something I will throw in right at the end.
Okay.
They're just clustered tomatoes, and it's just kind of a nice look, but they can't take the hour-long cooking, so I will probably just toss those in maybe 15 minutes, just so they warm through and give you that kind of sun-ripened tomato that you guys get all the time out in California.
Yes, we do.
Lastly, I was trying to figure out a sauce. I really love this barbecue sauce. It's incredibly versatile. So whatever's left, if you have any that is left, you can dress coleslaw with it. You can use it as the foundation for other dishes as well. So you start with apple cider vinegar, a little bit of tomato ketchup, a little brown sugar, salt, pepper, barbecue spice, the same barbecue spice that's on the pork, and a little Worcestershire. And then you just whisk it together, let it sit while the roast finishes, and then go back and serve it as a dipping sauce, drizzle it over the top, Very versatile little sauce.
I love your recipe and I will definitely try it. It's a perfect, entertaining main dish. I love that. So chef, to complement your amazing entree, I'll be making my appetizer, which is a sweet and spicy baby back taco bite. And we will end with a sweet bite, which is my maple bacon fudge truffles. So to start out the appetizer, we're gonna prepare a rub. And I just love making everything homemade. But you know what, if you don't have time, you could go ahead and purchase your own. So let's get started. The first ingredient is a half a cup of dark brown sugar. I'm gonna start with 1 tablespoon of dark chili powder. You can use any chili powder you like. And then we're gonna go with 1 tablespoon of onion powder, garlic powder, a tablespoon of cumin, a tablespoon of coriander, a tablespoon of sweet paprika. For the smoked, I'm just gonna add 2 teaspoons. And we're moving on to the teaspoon. 2 teaspoons of sea salt and a half a teaspoon of black pepper. So here we go. This is our rub. I will take the feature ingredient is my baby back pork. And the first thing we want to do is remove this thin membrane. You just grab that end. You see how there is this, very thin layer that you don't want this because, oh, see how that comes right out? The membrane is out and super simple. We are going to basically cover our baby back rib with this rub and be very generous. And we got it all over here and we're gonna turn it around and cover the other side with the rub. One thing you need to keep in mind is make sure you still have another half a cup of the rub left for your sauce, which that's my sweet and spicy sauce that I'll be making next. And what I've done on this baking sheet is 1 sheet of foil on the very bottom, and then I've got extra foil on the top. So you see how there is the bottom foil, and we're gonna actually wrap it up. I mean, it's a baby, right? So we're gonna wrap up this baby, and I have my oven on to a temperature of 350, but a lot of people go 325. I don't know, chef, what would you recommend?
Yeah, I think you're right in the ballpark there. Ribs are something that you kind of do by when you lift them and they start to bend, and if the tissue of the meat splits a little bit, they're usually there. Now, if you're gonna take these and you're gonna shred them later or dice them, that sort of a thing, you might wanna take them beyond that particular point, not to the point where they're mushy.
Yes, I'm gonna put it in the oven at 350 for 2 hours. And while it's roasting for 2 hours, we could prepare the other elements of the tacos. Or again, like I said, almost every single element in my taco can be made ahead of time. So that's a great thing because for entertaining, you just don't have time to do everything last minute. So now we're gonna make the sauce. And the first thing I do is I love developing flavors. Something I learned with my grandmother's, old-fashioned style cooking where you don't just, throw everything in there at once, but you start developing flavors. So I have 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil in my pan and 1 cup of onions, and you could just rough chop the onions. And I will put the garlic in right in there with it. So these are the first 2 ingredients. So I'm gonna bring it over to the stovetop and let it do its thing. The fire's on the high heat. The moisture of the onion will have to start coming out and caramelizing slightly. And what I use for that is my little secret here. It's 1 teaspoon of sugar and also a half a teaspoon of salt. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the sugar right over the onion. And it's gonna take maybe about, 4 minutes. We have our onions ready for the tomato paste. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my tomato paste to the onions. Now with the sauce, it's really important to, like I said, develop the flavors. I'm actually mixing it and pressing it down, okay? This is gonna take probably about a minute or two. So the next thing is, once your tomato paste has that, has been developed, you're gonna slowly, not all at once, you're slowly gonna add the chicken broth. And I'm gonna already do that. So kind of like a half a cup at a time. And as you add it, it thickens up your sauce. And then I'm gonna add my vinegar and a key ingredient, which also is very, it's perfect for tacos. It's my canned chipotle in adobo. It really gives a smoky flavor, and they go right into the sauce. And now you're gonna let the flavors develop. And you're probably wondering what happened with the half a cup of rub that we saved from earlier, right? So it's right here. And this rub is just gonna bring that final punch to the sauce and add a ton of extra flavors. You don't have to simmer it for hours. Really, all it takes is about 15-20 minutes. Let it simmer until it becomes a little bit thick. So now this is a sauce I have prepared earlier. Again, every element of this dish can be prepared ahead of time. And look at the beauty of the sauce. It's just a really beautiful color, beautiful texture. My sous chef and my husband, when he tasted this, he got goosebumps. So I'm telling you, this is really good. It's worth it.
Have you tried it with any other cuts of pork?
I tried it with the spare ribs and it works great. But really you could use it with any other kind of pork. I would say if you make a pulled pork, this would be a great sauce to put in your pulled pork. I have my sauce that has been simmering for already about 20 minutes and it's thickened, but there are chunks. You see, there are these little chunks in them. So what you do is just put in the blender and let it go for about 20 seconds. It becomes smooth and almost like a tomato sauce type of a texture. Okay, so now we're gonna make our crema. It has the adobo sauce in it. So I have a half a cup of sour cream and half a cup of Mexican crema. And you can buy that, in any grocery store. And just to add the touch of color is I'm gonna use my chipotle and adobo sauce. I wanna add this cream to a piping bag. I love these piping bags. And hold it up like that. And you snip the end, but very, very, very small snip, because you want a very thin, fine drizzle. Looks like our pork is perfectly done. It's not, overly cooked, but look, you grab a fork and you put it in there and look at this. I could eat it right now. It's super tender and it smells so good.
There's a lot of people that probably cook it too high for too long and you'll end up with a mushier product versus just kind of low and slow, 350 degrees and check on it until you've done it a few times and then you'll know what your timing is. It sounds like 2 hours at 350 degrees is the sweet spot for loin back ribs.
Right, and there you see how, you could just pull it, take it right off the bone with your fork or tongue, and you put all your meat into a casserole dish, pour the sauce over your chopped meat, and it goes right back into the oven for another 30 minutes. It gets a little caramelization on top and it adds to the texture of your meat, kind of like a little carnita, and you'll have your taco meat ready to go. I chose, because of the holidays, to go green. They do sell red tortillas, but they're not that easy to find. So the green ones, they're actually spinach herb tortillas. So we're gonna get a cookie cutter, and this is the larger size cookie cutter. You could get 7 tacos out of one tortilla, okay? And look at that, it's a cute little round. And just try to save as much tortilla as you can. And of course, I have a whole bunch of rounds. Look at that, whole bunch of these ready to fry. And I do love using grapeseed oil. For me, that's the to-go for frying. What do you think, Chef?
Yeah, I think if you want a good neutral oil and it has a decent flash point, it can take some heat. So, yep, you're spot on.
So the oil temperature for my taco shells will be 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And it really only takes about 3 to 5 seconds. Close it, put it into the oil, and you let it fry. I've got a few of them ready here on my platter, and they're actually really beautiful just as they are. Okay, so here we are. We have all our elements for the taco, and also I have some crumbled cojita cheese. I also have some lime wedges. So these are nice to just kind of, you know, give that little zing. It's time to build the taco, and we've got a cute little shell here. First thing we're gonna do is fill it with our sweet and spicy pork filling. And the next thing we've got is our pico. And we're gonna drizzle the top with crema and a tiny sprinkle of the cojita cheese on top. And look at that.
That looks delicious.
It's really, really perfect. Okay, so for our dessert, we will be making also a small bite, but it's very intense. We're making a maple bacon fudge truffle. And this really takes me back home because in Brazil, we have lots of different chocolate truffles and, you know, with different ingredients and all that. So we're gonna get started with our feature ingredient, which is bacon. And I'm using a thick sliced bacon because we don't wanna burn the bacon as it is in the oven for a while, caramelizing and turning into candied bacon. Next thing is we're gonna brush the top side with pure maple syrup. So just enough to coat the entire surface of the bacon right on top. And once you're done with the maple syrup, you wanna go ahead and very gently add your brown sugar. And I use just regular golden brown sugar. It doesn't have to be dark brown sugar like in the other recipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. And the oven is at 400 degrees. Now this is a thing when you make candied bacon, you gotta keep an eye and make sure they don't burn because that has happened to me. 15 minutes, 400 degrees. Then you remove it, flip your bacon strips to the other side with the tongue because it's very hot, and do the same thing. Brush it with your maple syrup and sprinkle with the brown sugar. And now you put it back in the oven. Now you have to be careful. This is the part that if you let it overcook, it's gonna burn and it's gonna get stuck on your baking rack.
I think it's almost mahogany and caramel mixed together. It's reddish, but you also
Yes.
get that bubbly caramel. I would always look for just when that thing starts to bubble is probably when you need to pull it because it's getting right at the edge.
Once you're done with that baking process, you'll have pretty much something like this. The next thing you want to do is chop the bacon super fine as you can. And at first you could just, you know, chop it into strips, just pretty much something like this. So we're gonna have only 3 ingredients to start with, and then we're gonna add our bacon. So we have white chocolate. Get the best quality chocolate you can, no skimping. You're gonna add one of my favorite sweet ingredients, which is a can of condensed milk, super sweet, super simple. This doesn't take long. You put it in the microwave for 15 seconds. 15 seconds and turn it off, give it a little mix. Another 15 seconds, same thing. Do that 4 times. So that's 15 times 4. 60 seconds in all, 1 minute. Fudge. So you have that done, okay? So I'm gonna work on that right now. So we want to refrigerate it for approximately an hour. And depending on your weather, if you're in California, you want to go a little longer than an hour, but if it's cold where you're living, you may even leave it out and it'll be ready to go. So I may have gone a little over 15 seconds because I'm talking, but you see how it's already mixing nice and the chocolate is melting in there. So we're gonna put it in there again. And pretty soon, we're gonna have a delicious fudge. Now you're gonna say, well, where is the maple? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually add a maple flavoring. It's just like you add vanilla extract, we're adding maple extract. So we're adding that, and that really gives that maple punch. So we're gonna put about a teaspoon of maple extract in there. So that maple extract really is a secret to this. And now we're gonna take our bacon and mix it right in there, okay? And you wanna reserve, of course, like I said, some of the bacon for the top, because we're just gonna use some to decorate the top. And now you have this confetti bacon right inside of your fudge. What we wanna do is refrigerate this mixture for about an hour. You could keep it right in the bowl. And once it's at a point where it's not too hard and not too soft, and you could roll them into balls, then you're ready to make your truffles. So I have already shaped little balls of my maple bacon fudge. So they're super tiny. You could make them larger if you'd like. So I've melted dark chocolate. So you take your little maple bacon fudge ball, dip it right into your chocolate. And I have my little bacon that I chopped ahead of time, the candied bacon, and I put it right on top. And there you go. Now this goes into the refrigerator for about what? An hour? You could even leave it in the fridge overnight until it sets, but it won't take that long to set. You could even put it in the freezer and it'll go for about what, 10, 15 minutes? And you're ready with your little truffles. What do you think, Chef?
Great job. Very nice. And so, Lydia, here is our finished roast.
Yum.
We took it off the rack. The vegetables are nice, soft, and tender along with the potatoes. And the added bonus is we had a bunch of pan juices and bacon combined in the bottom. So when that hit with the pig butter, it glazed all the vegetables.
Wow.
Pork roast was taken to 145 degrees with at least a 3-minute rest. But in this case, we let it rest for 15 or 20. And then you could carve it. But I like serving it all in the roasting pan that it came in. And here's our little pig dip and sauce, and we're set to roll.
Wow, that looks so good. I'm hungry. I wish I could be there right now. So we have our appetizer ready. And you know, I have a few tacos that are ready to go. The rest of them, I just left them, you know, build your own taco type of a style. And
this is like exciting flavors to start the meal, then a hearty entree, and finishing up with your beautiful dessert.
Oh, and you know, it's ready to go. I have them in these little cups that, you know, they're also Brazilian style mini truffle cups.
As we say, pork is your passport, that it can be a gateway to techniques that you showed us, flavors that you demonstrated, and that there's a global palette of things waiting out there for people to try and experiment, and that you've illustrated so well with both your recipes and your skills in winning the World Food Championships.
Chef Jim, it was a delight to cook along with you, and an honor, truly honored. I look forward to making your roast pork, and I am certain my family will love it. And I hope you have a wonderful holidays, time with your family, enjoying food and, time together and making the best out of the situation.
Well, to Lydia and your entire extended family, the happiest of holidays as well. I'm looking forward to sharing your dishes with my family and friends during this holiday. And as you mentioned, I look forward to sitting down at a table with you and enjoying some great pork.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's coming.